welcome along to a live stream live from the Algarve in Portugal. It feels like I'm here 2 days too late. I feel a little bit out of the Fulham loop after a glorious wedding on Saturday, Sunday, a day of rest, as it says in the Bible. And now we are out in Portugal, and I arrived a little bit earlier on this afternoon, had a nice walk around town, bought some sunglasses after losing them at the wedding, and then we are back on the Fulham beat. And to be fair, the news has been pretty non-stop since I've arrived. Landed with the news about Devon Tantum being injured for 8 weeks, which is a terrible start to his second loan spell at Chesterfield after having it cut short last season, and essentially means he won't be able to play until October-ish, which is terrible for Tantum. And then, of course, we got news about Adama Traore and interest from Nottingham Forest. Nuno Espirito Santo used to manage him, of course, with Wolverhampton Wanderers. And, of course, the news that's come out about, as my laptop freezes. Okay, it's fine. Who else was the news about? Oh, Luke de Fugros. As reported yesterday? Yeah. Yesterday I reported that there's an interest in him moving out on loan to probably somewhere in Belgium. We've understand today, thanks to a couple of people I've spoke to and just getting the lowdown on it as soon as I had to land, sort of just straight back in the thick of things. It looks like he's going to Dender. And I don't know necessarily much about Dender, but I do know that this is their second season in the Belgian Pro League. And I think that, wow, is Josh Brownhill going to Leeds? That's an interesting move. Sent to me by Joe Sansom has just said that Josh Brownhill is going to Leeds. Anyway, so Dender's second season in the Belgian Pro League. And I think that, I was thinking, is he going to go to an Antwerp or an Anderlecht or Club Brugge? And I just thought, where's a club where he's going to get minutes? And I think that's essential. I think basically Fulham wouldn't have loaned him out to a club that was essentially going to say, well, he'll play a bit part. He's got to play proper minutes. And it seems as if the Dender move is on, and that's good news. What's going on here? Oh, Igor Paxao is going to Marseille. That's quite funny. Although it does mean, yes, as Shane very rightly points out, will they use that money to come in for Rodrigo Muniz? I think they'll give Muniz another shot for sure. But they know the price. They know the price they have to stump up. And if they don't stump it up, he won't join. Do you know if tomorrow's game is going to be shown live on FFC TV? I don't know. I don't have that confirmed. I don't even know the kickoff time. I'm going to get all that done tomorrow, and hopefully I can put something out there, or hopefully the club do. So today was very much arrive, consolidate, catch up on what needs to be caught up on. I'm in my Airbnb, very nice. Got the aircon on, much needed. 30 degrees out there, and it's beautifully hot. It's very good to be here. It's a shame I missed the Forest game, but I wouldn't have missed that wedding for the world. It was fantastic. And Fulham obviously getting a good win. We can talk about that game throughout the live stream. Am I going to the game tomorrow? Going to the game on Wednesday. As it stands, I'm not. But I will be reporting on it, watching it on some sort of stream. And you might be wondering, well, why on earth are you out here? Why on earth are you here if you're not going to be able to see Fulham play? There's still things to do here. I needed a holiday. It felt like a good place to be. I was under the impression that there was going to be a game that I would be able to see here. It hasn't worked out that way. It didn't change my plans. I still wanted to come out here and get some work done because it's nice to change environments, and being in the location where the Fulham team is at least helpful for other reasons as well. So looking forward to the next 6 days here. Go home on Sunday, and then we've got a week leading up to the game against Frankfurt. and then we play Frankfurt, and then it's the build up to the game against Brighton Hove Albion. Let's talk about that game that happened on Saturday. Freddie, am I hitting the Albufeira? Maybe one night. I might not be going massively hard alcohol-wise because I had a heavy weekend. But give me a couple of days and we'll see how we feel. Freddie, it'd be good to link up at least for a few beers. TC, Tete, and youngsters all signed up. We will be seeing talks with Wilson Muniz to progress now. That remains to be seen. Hopefully those sort of things progress, and hopefully we start seeing some more exciting deals internally come over the line. And of course, Reece Nelson, we need to talk about him as well. That seems to be, I mean, I really wouldn't be surprised if we got a bit of a here we go, or we got something like he's going to travel back to England, or might even travel straight to the Algarve where we're at right now to complete his move. We'll just wait to see. We'll just wait and see on that one. But still plenty to talk about. Let's go back to that game. For those who were there, at the game at the weekend, it sounded very, very encouraging. You can take it with a pinch of salt and go, well, they played the youngsters in the first half, absolutely, but you still got to beat what's in front of you. And let's talk about the individual ball from Bassi over the top towards was it Calvin Bassi? I think it was Bassi over towards Harry Wilson, and then Wilson with a delightful finish. He then scores a free kick, of which he said he didn't connect with the ball very, very well. Still went into the back of the net, and then a third goal finished off by Pereira, and then they got a goal back, and that was it. I mean, they played their full strength team in the second half, there or thereabouts, and then we switched things up a little bit as well. I was trying to keep across it while sort of on the dance floor, and it wasn't the easiest thing in the world, but glad Fulham got the win. Glad we beat Nottingham Forest, who then came out afterwards and got Morgan Gibbs right to sign the most unbelievable new contract I've ever seen, and I don't think I've ever seen anything like that in football before. The interview he made, brilliant jokes have been made of it. Look, we'll focus more on Fulham, but so for those who don't know, we're playing Al Ittihad on Wednesday behind closed doors. Yes, it's caused a bit of a stir. However, there is it's another game, it's another chance for minutes, and we're seeing Raul Jimenez now back into the fold of things as well after taking some time off after the Gold Cup. De Figueroa obviously is on the verge of leaving on loan, which is good news. So it feels as if, apart from Traore, who's like another first team player who's been rumoured to come into the club, to leave the club or maybe go elsewhere to Nottingham Forest, who have just signed in Ndoye, by the way, who are about to sign in Ndoye for, I don't know how much the fee is. I think someone told me earlier it was £40 million. I'll have to get that checked. Like I say, I'm a little bit discombobulated, arriving, then having to get something to eat, and I had to just do some bits and bobs and then finally make it back here and sort of settled in terms of keeping up to date with everything that's happened in the transfer window, in terms of not even Fulham stuff. So stuff like Ndoye to Forest, I need to read up on that. So I think I'll spend this evening sort of staying in and catch up on everything that needs to be caught up on. And yeah, so a 3-1 win, very, very positive. Good minutes in the tank. Only negative was Jorge Cuenca. I don't know necessarily if there's been any news on Jorge Cuenca since then. That will be something for tomorrow, just to find out the state of his condition. Apparently there was an extra 2 minutes played of added time. He went down in some pain. I then saw a video after the game where he's taking pictures of the fans and smiling and stuff, so maybe it's not as bad as we first thought. Anyone in the comments who were there, then please let me know what you thought of that, and maybe some sort of update on what you think his condition is, or what sort of injury it could be. Like I say, it's something I need to find out tomorrow. And there's some few questions. Look, there's lots of inevitable questions about an inevitable player, and obviously now with that, I can't remember how you spell his name, Paxial deal, I think Leeds will actually look at their second target now, and that is going to be a bit of a worry. Am I concerned? I don't know. I don't think I should be concerned. Then again, things can change very, very quickly. Any news on Reed? No, nothing from Reed or nothing on Reed. Kieran Dewsbury Hall, the Cottage Ball. I saw your bio. I saw your post on Twitter. I very much admire what you're doing, and good luck with it. And if you need any advice, you can always ask. I'm always happy to dish out. Not that I'm an expert, of course, but dish out advice to those who are trying to make it in the industry. So thanks very much for your question as well. Yeah, the Dewsbury Hall thing is interesting. I've heard people who are up for it. I'm very much up for it. I've heard people who are not so up for it, and I think this moment in time with Sasha Lukic and Sander Berger sort of rotating as 6s and 8s, with Berger as 6 and Lukic predominantly the 8, to have Kieran Dewsbury Hall come in. Let's say it's a loan of an obligation. Let's actually say it's a permanent. Did we see enough? And I don't know the answer to this question because I haven't seen. I've saw 7-minute highlights from Fulham they put out. Was that Josh King performance, albeit whoever he was playing against in terms of the youngsters, was it good enough? Do you think it's good enough to? Because if we sign Dewsbury Hall, where does that leave Josh King in the pecking order? Where does that leave Harrison Reed? Where does that leave TC, who signed a new deal as well? It feels like we do need a new midfielder, but also like all this like good feeling around Josh King to have it undermined. I don't think it would be undermining to him because he's still so young to sign another centre mid. And I think Dewsbury Hall actually has so much he can give in terms of what positions he can play in number 8, number 10, sometimes out wide, sometimes a little bit deeper, but predominantly 8 and 10, which is fantastic because right now Pereira doesn't seem like he's off anywhere anytime soon. Smith Rowe still is the number 10, so we're actually really strong in that area. So I would predominantly see him as an 8. And then what does that leave Josh King as, like, third choice number 8 in the middle between Berger and whoever plays in the number 10? It's interesting, and obviously Josh King could play a bit part this season. I think that's very much maybe the plan. And obviously you got Seth Ridgen coming through as well, and that's another option. I know probably he'll be with the under-21s, but there'll be chances for him to play in the first team. But it's incredibly exciting. Dewsbury Hall will be an interesting one. I think it's very much a case of if the price is right from the Chelsea standpoint or our standpoint, we're happy with what. I know they want 30 million, but it was reported in January that they wanted 25, so we could probably go back on that. So yeah, it'd be very interesting. But yeah, I spent quite a long time on that question. So let's move on. Tell me why these Fulham fans think Sterling is a bad move. The Raheem Sterling one, Sneds, is really interesting. Could I see a scenario where we go in for him on deadline day and we get it over the line, or like leading up to deadline day? Yes, I very much could see that. And if he's open to it and he can take a wage cut, I think he's basically going to be waiting around for the phone to ring. That being said, I think there is an opportunity to get I don't want to sound ungrateful. I think Sterling's a great player in what he's done in his career. But a younger, fresher winger who can offer us a little bit more, and we pay a fixed price for him. It's a permanent deal, as opposed to Sterling, where I don't know if it's going to be a loan. I don't know if it's going to be permanent. I think it actually is going to be a loan at this moment in time, as I saw it. But correct me if I'm wrong. Like I say, I feel a little bit out of the loop at the moment. So that will be an interesting one. I'm not like totally against it. I just think that I would rather go in hard on a marquee winger, and if all the cards collapse and there's suddenly an opportunity where Sterling's still about and it's still an option. I know Marco Silva definitely wants him as well, or is definitely keen on the idea of bringing him in. So I think then there's an opportunity there, and there's a conversation to be had. I always have to check my phone when Joe Sansom sends me a tweet because it's usually something important. Everton are interested in former Arsenal player Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Everton now want Jack Grealish on loan. Interesting. Thank you, Joe. We're doing a Jack and Joe show, I believe, tomorrow, so that'll be up on Fulhamish probably tomorrow, which will be great. Are you surprised Luke de Fugros isn't going on a loan to a more notable club on paper? No, I'm not, because the history of Canadian players going to the Belgian league has actually been very beneficial. This is what I was speaking to someone about yesterday. And the fact of the matter is he's going to get a good amount of minutes there, I believe. And when you're in the Championship, the spotlight's on you a lot. And this is a way in which he can go out on loan. We can keep tabs on him, and him not be in this sort of EFL like circle where a lot of people will be watching him. He's got a lot of competition. I know he'll have competition at Dender, that's for sure. But I think there's definitely an opportunity for him to completely flourish. And if he stays injury free, he's already a huge favourite for the Canadian squad for the World Cup. They're now talking about him not only playing or being in the squad, but starting in the World Cup. And then, of course, that just, the Pro League, the Belgian Pro League is one game in. They've already started, so he can kick. He can. What's the expression? He can get going. Let me just say that. So that will be very, very interesting to see. I'm actually, at first I was like, I just assume he's going to go to the Championship. I just assume he's going to go to League One. I probably thought Championship. But if you think about the Belgian Pro League with the Championship, it's probably about similar-ish level, if not probably Belgian Pro League with some big teams, and they're playing Champions League football. I think he's going to be playing against some top-tier players and some top-tier teams, and I think that's going to be beneficial for him. And I kind of like he's out of the English spotlight because there's a lot of audience for the Championship. And the Championship is probably where it's most tribal as well. So I don't want lots of, like, if he makes a mistake, loads of finger pointing at him. That just doesn't do. Whereas in Belgium, the spotlight's not so much on him, and I think that's why I'm pretty up for this. It looks like a hostage. Is that Morgan gives away? Yeah. The behind closed doors game is the club's decision. I have nothing to say on that, to be fair. Any news about incomings? Well, Reece Nelson, it seems the closest. If someone put a gun to my head right now, I don't know why I always say that, but I suppose it's just the expression that people say. If someone put a gun to my head right now and said, who's going to be the Fulham's next signing after Benjamin Lecomte, I'm going to have to say it'll be Reece Nelson. I fully expect in the next 1-2 days, this is with no inside knowledge. I haven't really gone big with the Nelson news on my Twitter because from my side of things, I haven't been able to get the information either in time or haven't been able to get the information full stop. So this is all guesswork from my side. I think in the next 1 or 2 days, possibly tonight, possibly tomorrow, possibly Wednesday, we're going to see Nelson's on his way to either England or Portugal to complete his move to Fulham. And it will be a loan with an obligation of a fee around about the 15 to 20 million mark. And that's if he hits 20 league starts. Because then Fulham aren't then held at gunpoint where they're basically like, we have to pay. Like, if he was to get injured, which obviously nobody wants to happen, Silva wants him to flourish. The Fulham fans want him to do well. But if he wasn't to make that 20 starts in the league, and obviously, it's an interesting question because with the wingers we've got, well, will Silva actually start him 20 times? Otherwise, or do I say starts? Maybe I should say appearances. In fact, appearances would definitely be it instead of starts because of the competition. So he'll definitely, if he's fit, Silva will play him 20 times across the season from the bench starting. I'm guessing this will be Premier League football, and that will mean we'd have to pay the fee. And I think another year accounts, and then it hits like 18 to 20 million or whatever, 15, 18, 20 million, whatever it is. I think that's a fair fee. And then if he has a really good season, people can be like, oh, it's an absolute steal. If he doesn't have a good season, that's a conversation to have, but you can't judge it on no football yet. God, loads of comments. Where were we? Surely Luke de Fogros won't be allowed to leave if it was that bad. If what was that bad? We've got 4 centre-backs in Portugal and then 5 in Charlie Robinson as well. So I think that there's enough depth there. And if... I think you're talking... Oh, yeah, the Cuenca, yeah. I think you're talking about the Cuenca. Yeah, I agree. I'm slow to react to the comments there because we're having a little bit of discussion. Dewsbury Hall's the Kenny replacement. Yeah, no, I can see that. But I think TC will play his part as well. What does your day-to-day job look like as a journalist? Well, the summer's been very interesting. So at the start of the summer, I sort of took a bit of time off, but also was sort of it's like, so basically what I've been doing this summer is basically working, quite fortunately, like half days. But the thing is, it's not like you work in the morning, you're off in the evening. It's like you're on and off, on and off, on and off, depending on news. And I suppose unfortunately, because I love my job and like I would do it, I'd be up all night if I wanted to be. If there was something to do, if there was things to talk about, I would only be online when there was, reasonably, sort of things to talk about. And obviously Fulham have been slow with their business. And in the last, so actually from the start of last week, so last Monday, I've been working full days. So essentially within those like 5-6 weeks, I've been able to luckily take some time off, spend some time with the people that are very dear to me, my family, my friends, etc., whilst also being on call. So actually sometimes it can be incredibly inconvenient. If I've got plans or something's happening or I'm out and something happens Fulham-wise, it's very, very hard to be like, oh my God, I have to leave this whatever I'm doing right now and react and do something, because also like, you've got to be on the ball. So basically my head's been like, so I haven't really ventured that far from my house or from my home this summer, just so I can stay within a vicinity where if something does happen, you need to be on it and you need to be talking about it. Whilst doing that, whilst in the actual job, what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, making calls, emails, blah, 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 trying to find out things. And, it's been absolutely unbelievably fun. Oh, it's just been so fun. And to be here now, on the ground in Portugal after being there last year, which was fantastic, and being here again, literally 5 minutes away from where I was last year. It feels great. I'm looking forward to it. Yes, I know there's no game, whatever, you can prop me about that, whatever, but there's enough to do here that's going to make my trip worthwhile. From now, I'm working full days. Yes, I might go out for a pint and meet some Fulham boys out there, but that's also doing some work because we want to talk to them and we want to make some content around that. So yeah, that's basically it. And of course, once the season starts, we're on it. I've under 21s, first team, women's games at the Cottage. Usually I'll probably cover all the women's games at the Cottage this season, and as many under 18s games as I can when it doesn't clash with the first team. But yeah, very excited. And plus, obviously, press conferences and stuff. Very, very excited. Kieran Dewsbury-Hall would be the Kenny successor and or AP replacement, I think. Yeah, I think maybe there's going to be some movement in order for the Kieran Dewsbury-Hall thing to happen completely. Any idea if we will explore the Rico Wright deal this summer? Yeah, it came out a couple of weeks ago from Plettenberg that he was happy. However, I've had a conversation with someone, I won't name them for protecting them, and suggest that it actually doesn't have anything to do with Fulham, but it suggests that he might not stay in Gladbach, but I think he might stay in Germany. That's all I've heard. There's a few more comments here. I think Forest / Nuno are very keen on Adama. Space for Sterling to come in. Yeah, and again, but like the thing is, as it's been reported, the Sterling thing is not going to come to fruition, because we're going to wait till the end of the window. So it could be that is a completely correct comment, but you could put space for a winger to come in, and I think that's Nelson and another player. I'd like to think, I believe. Shout out to the Abu Fulham massive. Look, Charlie Short is the guy. He's on it. He was at the last game. He did a brilliant match review. So please give him a follow on YouTube, on Twitter, on TikTok as well. He is the next big thing coming through, I think, in the Fulham space. So please do give him a follow. We're going to meet up, I guess, in a couple of days, Charlie. I think we'll meet up tomorrow, and we'll do some content, which would be fantastic. Still waiting on the Harvey Barnes dream. Yeah, Joe mentioned it. Joe Sansa mentioned it the other day. He is someone I would like. And the thing is, Newcastle have had. We could talk about other teams right now. When you talk about who's had a bad summer, Fulham are nowhere near the bottom of the list of that. In fact, I would almost put them top half in terms of good summers. And people will say, well, we've only signed one player as a goalkeeper to back up Leno. Yeah, but also we haven't lost anyone as it stands. I don't think we're going to let Adama go on the cheap. I know we're not going to let Adama go on the cheap. if Forest still pursue that as a deal. But can we go hard on? Well, actually, let me link this back to Newcastle. Can we go hard on a winger and bring in Harvey Barnes? I think it's a player that hasn't been linked. It's just a name I've floated out there, or Joe Sands has floated out there. I floated out there this summer because it's an interesting one. Newcastle had a terrible summer, like genuinely awful. Ekitike, nah. Liverpool. Oh, okay, that's great. We'll keep Isak. No. He's going to Liverpool as well. Right now, they have only Will Asula as their recognised striker. They're going to be in the Champions League. And Fulham have got 2 strikers in Raul and Rodrigo, and you're thinking, oh, we need a third. And we do. But Newcastle at the moment, oh my word. Who's their first game? Villa. Is it Villa away? Tough. Villa have had a poor summer as well. They haven't spent anything. I think they signed one player on a free. That's their business done this summer. They sold Asensio. Rashford's obviously gone to Barcelona. So it's tough. Not everyone's at Brentford have had a worse summer probably going. What was actually, I read something on Vista earlier, but I didn't take it in properly. I didn't take it in properly. There's loads of Fulham fans out here, by the way. It's fantastic to see. And hopefully we can all sort of meet up tomorrow. Let's have a look at some more comments. Will Wilson be sold if he doesn't sign a long-term deal shortly? Oh, so are you referring to the Fabrizio Romano tweet? I don't think he'll be sold this summer. I think if he doesn't sign a deal before the window, I wouldn't panic. I think it's a case of we'll probably try and time down throughout the season. And obviously Marco Silva out of contract. What's going to happen with Marco Silva this season? Will he be given what he was promised? Will that be the motivating factor? If he's given what he's promised by the end of the window, or what the board have said that can be doable, then Marco Silva staying at Fulham and signing a contract, I think, becomes more realistic. If he doesn't get what he's promised, and that doesn't mean, if we sign Sterling, that doesn't mean he didn't get what he's promised. But that's gonna be an uncomfortable last season where there's gonna be I said in the last stream, every week, essentially someone's gonna come up to him and say, we'll go up to him in the press conference and say, this is your last year, what's going on? Because last season you were like, I'll see out my contract. And now it's like, if he sees out his contract, then we know he's leaving at the end of the season. So there's work to be done there. It's going to be very interesting. And I'm smiling because I'm excited to see what happens. And I really obviously would not like to lose Silva. Let's have a look. Some more comments. How's the Matt Ryan entry? Yeah, the Matt Ryan thing I think that was fun because it was the first sort of news I broke. It was quite a safe one as well, which was good because there was just interest. That very much is probably not the case now. I think he probably made his mind up that he didn't want to play second fiddle in a World Cup year. And we went after Benjamin Lecomte, who's basically a 34-year-old and probably happy to play in the Premier League and play the odd game. I think maybe live in London. So it worked out everyone. Do follow Joe Talks Footy, a new channel, a sort of newish channel on the Fulham space. He does some lovely stuff and a big fan of the under 21s as well. Realistically, how many new signings will be at the club for the Brighton game? I don't know. You tell me. I mean, actually, that's a terrible response. Maybe I should tell you. The truth is, I don't know. I'd like to say Reece Nelson. I mean, Reece Nelson's not an absolute done deal, but it looks very, very close to being that way. So I'm going to say before Brighton, I think three more. Nelson and 2 others, I think. But that's just me. That's plucking a number out of thin air. That's based on nothing, none of my, not knowledge or anything. Let's see what's going on Twitter. If any other bits of football news comes through, please do send them into the chat because, like I said, when you're in the air for 2.5 hours without signal, anything can happen. I landed and there was no real big Fulham news apart from Devon Tanton, which obviously I think was unfortunate. Okay, my Wi-Fi is not loading here on the phone, so I have to go on to 5G for a bit. unless Twitter's just crashed. Oh, it just has crashed. Okay, let's keep the comments going because there's actually loads to get through here. So thank you very much for sending them in because this is very interesting. I like doing streams where I don't necessarily have an agenda to go against or to go for. It's just basically people just asking questions so we can just have a conversation. We spoke about the Forest game and stuff, and there's like things to go off. But when there's when there's not loads of new news, it's good the questions can come in from people watching across Twitter and YouTube and Patreon, and it just makes things easier. Newcastle was going to get Dominic Calvert-Lewin, aren't they? That would be, I mean, to lose Wilson on a free and sign Calvert-Lewin for me would be the most sideways step I've ever seen. In fact, maybe even a backward step. Newcastle have had a nightmare. I mean, they might bring in Sesko, right? And now Ramsdale has been linked this summer. Or in fact, today has been linked. And of course, Visser. So we'll see what happens. I know you can't say what the other kits look like. Any rough idea on timing? I'd imagine before the season starts. That's all I'll say. I'm guessing. Thank you, Russ, for reposting the stream on Twitter. Thank you very much. Actually, what is the time? Okay, cool. That's fine. Wissa wants the move to Newcastle. Basically, some Saudi club also in for him. Tough summer for the Bees. I saw I think I now remember what I saw about Wissa. It was basically they're not going to sanction the leave unless they get in a replacement. Well, they better get better get moving, because the thing is, like, I don't know why I'm sat here talking about Brentford, but basically, if he trains alone because he's basically cast himself away from the squad, is that enough? Is that enough in terms of fitness and sharpness to be ready for a Premier League season to train alone? I mean, yeah, you could have someone like a coach there who's sort of working his way through drills with him, but to not be with the group, it feels like it takes something away from that. And obviously, I think the last time that happened for Fulham, was it Mitrovic and Tosin were training alone? Oh, that was actually so... That when that was happening, I felt so lost and sad. And that was quite a while ago, though. Nothing like that's happening this summer, hopefully. Where do you think Fulham need to strengthen? Wide areas and maybe one more in midfield. But am I getting ahead of myself about Josh King? Is everyone getting ahead of themselves about Josh King? I know he's an absolute wonder kid, an absolute star. And if we don't sign a new midfielder before the start of the season, and let's say we don't sell anyone as well, I think there's enough midfielders there to have a go next season. But is there enough quality there in terms of Reed? I don't want to be rude, but maybe a bit past it from my perspective, from a lot of Fulham fans' perspective. Still a fantastic player. Still think could do a job for the Premier League. But is he enough? Like, can we upgrade on that? Josh King coming through, incredibly exciting. Lukic and Berger, solid as a rock. I have no issues about them. But it does feel as if we need to go to the next level, we need a new midfielder in. And obviously TC, like, I don't know how much of a role he's going to play. Seth, like I said earlier, is not going to play loads of first team football. But he could make the odd appearance in the Carabao Cup for sure. So thank you for that question. And obviously the wide areas as well. If we do lose Adama Traore, then there's work to be done there. If we get Nelson, I still think we need another. Wilson can play in the 10 as well. It leaves us with a lot of questions and a lot of squad depth, a lot of good squad depth. Just say we did get Kieran Dewsbury Hall, Sterling and Nelson, lose one or two. We obviously want Europe, but what is a realistic expectation in the league this year? I mean, my expectation is that we're going to go again and basically have a very similar season to last season, where we're competing at that top end of the table in terms of European football, etc., etc. But we have to cut out those mistakes, i.e., dropping points from winning positions. This Wi-Fi is definitely not working on the phone. Oh well, you don't need to know that. That's absolutely fine. We'll carry on the conversation. What was I going to say? Yeah, so if we can cut out and let's say we drop 10 points from winning positions next season, that's better than last season. We cut out those sort of late equalisers and mistakes we were making in games. We've got a very good squad. I think people do forget that sometimes in the transfer window when we're not making any signings, but we actually have a very good squad who for the last 3 years in the Premier League, I know players have come and gone, whatever, we've progressed. and progressed. I actually think that basically, like, despite us finishing 10th in the first season, and then was it 13th in the second, or was it 14th? It might have been 14th, I think, and then 11th. I actually do think we've got better and better and better each season in a lot of departments. I think the first season under Silva in the Prem was a massive promotion bounce. Second was a little bit more inconsistent, but some better results against better teams, getting to a cup semi-final as well. And then last season, I think, was really positive, like being in a European hunt, and it just fell by the wayside. And it was down to those sort of drop points, and there were some injury issues as well. Do I think we can be better and get better for next season? Yeah, I think we can. And actually, there are a lot of teams right now who don't look like they've got better. And I know that's easy to say on paper. Like, I haven't seen them play, or I haven't really watched much of them in pre-season. But on paper, in terms of the squad, in terms of their squad building, I can't think of many Premier League teams who've improved their squad wholesale. And I'm not talking about the Liverpools and Chelseas, whatever. I'm on Arsenal, whatever. I'm talking about the teams we were competing with last season. Have Brighton got a little bit better? I suppose they've made some signings that could make them better, but they've also let go of Evan Ferguson. Estupinian's gone as well. Brentford have certainly not got better. West Ham, and I don't know why I'm talking about West Ham. They were nowhere near us, but Aston Villa, they've stagnated. They've lost more players than they've won. So do I think that? And obviously Fulham have done the same, but we still have a very, very good squad, and I think that's why we can still be up there again. 3 top additions and Wilson/Muni's contract would be a solid window. I'd agree. I would 100% agree. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, Joe. Are the figures being mentioned for Nelson correct? Loaner with 80 million obligation if certain amounts of goals assist met. What's your thoughts on the deal? Yeah, I saw 18 million was bandied about last night. It's from a source I don't necessarily trust. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Keeping an eye on David Ornstein's Twitter for sure, Fabrizio Romano. I think it'll be an Ornstein because I suppose he will back up the story. I think if it's a goer, it will be Ornstein. So looking forward for that. We'll look out for that, I should say. I think it'll be a good deal, and I think that because Silva's pushed, so basically, for what I understand, the board are not necessarily that keen on bringing him back because of the injuries last season. But Marco Silva's gone, no, I like this winger. If he's injury free, he's going to be fantastic for us, which I believe is correct because of the games he played last season, he was fantastic in most of them. And I think if we saw a full fit Nelson for the whole season last season, I think we would have done much better. So I genuinely think, and it's always easy, like it's hypothetical, if we get a full season of Nelson with no injuries, I think it'll be worth the money we end up stomping up for him. He's still very, very young, and he's got a very, very big ceiling, and he already knows the club, already knows a lot of the players. It won't take him no time at all to settle in. So I think it's a very positive move. I've seen a lot of people saying that's boring. I don't see that argument. I don't know. If anything, it's not boring because when he was on the pitch, he gave us something a little bit different on the wide areas. It's boring from these like people's perspective because he's injured, he's just always injured. Yeah, but that's just complete outcome bias, recency bias, and essentially a brand new season could bring a brand new fresh legs and a fresh player in Reece Nelson. I think it's an exciting signing. I do think it is. I think he was brilliant last season. And people say another reason is people say it's boring because we had him last season. It doesn't feel like a new signing. I can understand that argument a little bit more, but he gives us something really, really special. And I don't think in those games where he did play and he was fit, I don't think there was enough appreciation for those performances. There was a couple that weren't brilliant, of course, but there were a couple that were very, very good. And of course, we see the very, very good side of him. And I'm always going to err on the side of optimism as opposed to pessimism. I think we're going to have a really, really, really top season from Reece Nelson. So I'm looking forward to it immensely. What's going on here? Like I say, when Joe Sansom sends me something, I literally stop everything and take notice, because it's just something to do with Leeds. Private jet rumoured to be bringing Paxio to Leeds. Let me read this out. This is from just some Leeds account. I don't know if it's true, but I'll read it out anyway. The private jet rumoured to be bringing Paxio to Leeds from London tonight is scheduled to fly to Faro, Portugal, which is where we are, an hour later. Guess which striker is pre-seasoning over there? Oh, so they think they're getting Muniz. What a load of tosh. I mean, that is genuinely clutching at straws. Sorry, let's get through the comments. We should go for Forest backup striker if we lose Muniz. We'll cross that bridge. I just, at this moment in time, I don't think we're going to lose him. Are we going to have a third kick this season? Yes. Who has the under-21s got in the cup? National League Cup. Woking. I think we got Woking. I can't remember who else we got. Need a winger and a striker and a left back, I believe. I can agree with that. I think left back is definitely something we need to look at. Any update on the news you're sitting on? A clue, maybe? No, I can't say. As I don't particularly want Seth's left back if Robertson is out, absolutely. But if John Asenga, who is probably like the next one coming through, if he's impressing enough, it's hard to say with like Premier League, but because Robertson's such an athlete, the perception is that he's going to be playing most games, and he can play most games, even though he's actually right now not fit, or like he's coming back from surgery. So actually, there's going to be a lot of pressure on that left back situation. Sessegnon obviously prefers to play higher up the pitch. Asenga still very, very young and inexperienced. So I think left back is something we need to look at. But just to play devil's advocate, if Asenga is good enough and Silva believes he's good enough, I'd give him a chance. Completely give him a chance. I think everyone but Liverpool, City, Chelsea and Arsenal have either stagnated or gotten worse, exception of Sunderland maybe. Signing Xhaka was interesting. Yeah, but the thing is, like, Sunderland have to spend. And I think what they've done in the market so far has been very, very interesting. But they're a newly promoted team. And that brings a lot of pressure, and that brings a lot of squad gelling that obviously wasn't there last season. A lot of new players. We've seen it all before. Fulham and Forest have done it. Villa maybe, like bringing in players coming up and being in a relegation battle. It's so difficult. Do I think Sunderland are going to be down there? Yeah, because I think they'll. It's just easy to say that, isn't it? Until I see them in the flesh and watch their first game against West Ham, which obviously is at 3:00 at the same time as Brighton, but at least watch some of it to get an understanding of them. It's hard to say. The signing of Xhaka on paper is good. Does it feel like an Andre Schürrle sort of signing? No, I think it's a step up above that. I think it's a quality signing. Sunderland are at least giving it a go. And in fact, Leeds are as well. And Burnley are somewhat trying to give it a go. But this is going to be a very interesting Premier League season. To your point, Ashley, where I think that because Sunderland are giving it a go, maybe we will see those teams who stagnated, who haven't progressed, start to seep down. I certainly think that West Ham could be in a whole host of trouble. And Wolves as well. Losing Semedo and replacing with Soufal would be so uninspiring. I think Wolves' squad is really thin. And I think that, again, that just benefits Fulham, doesn't it? Would you take Palmer at Fulham? No. Glad to see Severidge in the camp. Glad to see you recovered from the wedding, Daniel Wrigley. Thank you very much. Yeah, fantastic stuff to see Richard out here. Who's our third choice goalie this season? It might be Borto as it stands. We've got Kaiser in the under-21s, Underwood. McNally's been out here as well. Is McNally out here? I think he might be. Yeah, so there's some options there. Any news on the academy? We've seen light numbers. It's got a likely to leave on loan. It's hard to say at this time. I think that the academy, the under 21s are playing. They're playing in a couple of weeks against Sutton, so we'll get a better understanding of what the squad looks like. Then they played against Braintree on Friday. I don't know what you mean. They do look a little bit light on numbers, but predominantly Seth Ridgen is going to be part of that squad. So he's just out here because he deserves the chance to be with the first team. So you add that into the midfield. Lapalo Bai is obviously again out with the first team as well. You'd imagine he obviously slots straight back in to the under-21s after his loan move Dagenham last season. And then Asenga, of course, could slip back in as well. Who else have we got out here? Did I miss a... I can't actually remember now. Did I miss a go? Sometimes seeing that squad list on Saturday, I was not quite in the right headspace to analyse the squad. But I think the squad under 21s level it's okay. I think it looked on paper a lot more exciting last season, but I think there's players coming through from the 18s, and there's going to be enough players to fill a squad. Of course, the under 21s, you don't need a massive squad because we play with 11 and then 5 on the bench. So you need 16 players, and they can rotate from the 18s and they can come from the 21s. We've got Chingwaru coming through as well, who was signed, of course, as an 18. So you still got Chiri Nwoko there. We've lost a few players. I don't know where Lamar Gordon is. I mean, the contract, as far as I know, as far as the club put out last month, was on the table. Whether he's taken that, I don't know. Terrell Work's obviously staying. I believe that the under-21s as well, in terms of numbers, I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be okay. And there's a few players, like I say, out here they're going to predominantly play for the under-21s this season. Well, I mean, we're going for 45 minutes. Any more? It feels like a good place to stop. I feel like we've basically touched on everything. And of course, I'm sure there'll be more news that comes out in the next week or so from the camp, from afar, from players maybe coming in. I don't know. I'm obviously referring to Reece Nelson. I think that is the one that I think is close, or the closest. But yeah, it's been productive. It's been good to get back in the Fulham sphere. You miss one game. I know it's a friendly. You miss one game and suddenly all hell breaks loose. But there's plenty of people on the ground, definitely here, who are doing a good job in taking care of business on Fulham Twitter and across the Fulham spaces. I, of course, will not leave without plugging Patreon. £5 a month is now, I think, £4.50. I need to have a look at that, actually. I just told it. I saw your comment there, Joe. Let me just let me address that. Let me address that now. Hold on. Who did Fulham under 21s getting the Papa John's Trophy or whatever it's called nowadays? We got Gillingham, Colchester, and Wickham. So yeah, I'll be probably all 3 of those, which will be fantastic. They're all played away from home. That is 2 new ticks for me after been to Wickham a couple of times now in the Carabao Cup with Fulham. So Gillingham, yeah, for obvious reasons. That will be an interesting one. And then obviously Colchester. Will Diop stay? On paper, yeah. I don't think I don't think Marco Silva's keen to let many, if any, of the first team go. And that would be very encouraging. To have a summer where we essentially keep everyone, barring Vinicius and Willian, would be incredible. Because it's a good squad. And I wouldn't even say Diop's dead wood. I wouldn't say he's dead wood. I think he was magnificent last season when he played. So yeah, very, very positive. So yeah. So thank you very much for watching. Subscribe to Patreon, where you'll go. If you already subscribe, you'll know that the content today has been quite rapid since I've arrived here in Portugal. It will get more exciting than that, don't worry. But I thought I'd give you a flavour of what's to come. Please do subscribe. We're almost at 150 members now. I know what you mean, actually, Shane. People just want a shiny new toy when actually, the grass isn't always green on the other side when it comes to players leaving the club, but also bringing players in when you've already got some very nice players there as well. Of course, new, and of course, we cannot stand still. Silva said it every single week last season, and it's still true. We need to sign players to progress, but we still do have a very good core group of players at the club right now. But I think we can get better in. I think we will get better in, and I think that's going to make us much stronger next season. All the links to my Patreon are in the YouTube description, Twitter, Instagram as well. Do subscribe, because over the next week you'll be seeing some fun content from myself and some other Fulham fans. Hopefully, of course, we've got the game against Al Ittihad as well. And then who knows what will happen? Who knows what will happen on Patreon? So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here and contributing to the conversation. It's been really good fun. It's been really productive. One last comment here. Sterling kids and TC kids at the same school. I reckon he'll want to stay in West London. Yeah, probably. Probably that's the case. He's probably waiting. I know Napoli are interested, but I think he's going to be waiting for Fulham. It's just whether we wait for him. And we'll see. We will see. Very exciting stuff. I'll try and live stream a few more times out here while I'm here. The Wi-Fi here is fantastic, I believe. Unless someone can say otherwise. Fulham have just tweeted about full access from the Algarve. I'll give that a watch now. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. Please subscribe to Patreon for great fun over there. And stay tuned for more Fulham news. The train will not stop while we're in Portugal here. Thank you so much for watching. And come on, Fulham.